Hello and finally welcome to a new video here on my channel. And it's a new video on my Volvoghini project, the old Volvo car I have that I'm installing a Lamborghini engine. And no, the car is not running yet. This is some old footage with the 2J engine that I forgot to do an intro of the video, and I was in Sweden and worked on the car this summer. But we begin with some preparation I did for the car already here in Abu Dhabi before I went to Sweden.
Okay, I have started a little bit with the wiring harnesses for the engine here in Abu Dhabi. And to save some time, I'm going to use the original wiring harnesses of the engine. It's actually two harnesses, one for the bank number 1 and one for the bank number 2. The first thing I did was removing all of this heat protective that it was on it. And they had it because it was in a race car, but I don't think it's the correct way to do it. If you want to do a motorsport harness, you use the materials that is both more lightweight and can cope with heat well. And I don't think it's a big problem with this one that it will not cope the heat in normal conditions. I removed the connectors that was on here and removed some of the pins, starting to mark everything up to the ECU here and figuring everything out if it's possible to use it as good as possible. And to save some time and do a little bit on budget, I will take this one directly into the ECU, no bulkhead connector. Hopefully I can do a mil-spec wiring of this one someday with nice mil-spec connectors and bulkhead connectors. So need to replace some of the connectors, they are in bad shape. These are for the coils, really big wires there. So, but yeah, overall the layout of these ones are pretty good. We have the ignition coils, we have the injectors, all the cam sensors and stuff like that. So yeah, a little bit here to figure out. And good to prepare a little bit when I'm not able to be in Sweden. I just got a package here for the Volvoghini, and I ordered this on Thursday morning, BGP race in Sweden, and today it's Saturday morning. Some wiring punch here, and yeah, tool. I didn't have this one here. I will show this one. Yeah, so some thank you BJP race, very fast delivery and nice parts here, connectors. So now I can continue with the harness. I have been working with the wire harness for the engine here, and I have rerouted some wires. So these two connectors here, I have the bank 1 sensors and the igniters and the injectors, and the C connector here is for bank 2. And I use just these normal rubber grommets I will put through the firewall. So I also did some wires that goes over from the left to the right bank, and I have some extra sensors. So I will still do some work when I get back to the car. But I use this intake from my R8 to be able to see where all the components. I know the map sensor is the middle here, so the wire reach, and yeah, we have all the injector connectors here and the ignition also. It's good to see that as much as possible will fit there. Here is some of the wires is going to the PDM. On both banks there it's power for the injectors and the coils and some solenoids. This D connector I will put as much as I can to things inside the car, in the chassis. So that one will be separate, and I will connect, for example, this lambda that I will chassis mount. I was thinking to do a wire between them, but I don't know the length, so I will do that in Sweden. But I bought this one here in UAE. So I have a plan for that one. And when figuring everything out, I am looking at the normal Lamborghini wiring diagram. And here you have to know your Italian. This one, for example, RV. It's rosso verde, that's a red and green wire. So you have to know all the colors in Italian. This one, it's an N, that's nero, that's a black wire, for example. So it's good to have the wiring here, following that one, and doing my own list of what we have connected here to ECU. And by the way, when I've now been looking for the wiring for the R8, when I will modify that one is in German.
So then you have to know what the colors is in German. It have taken a very long time actually to do this modification. That is actually not a big modification, but yeah, due to my problem here in UE with my health, I have been working on it a little bit now and then. But I'm happy that I managed to get this one going on. I'm working on the steering system here, and I was not really happy. The first one I modified the stock 240 steering column there. It was not good, so I bought another one and modified that one, and it's just like prototypes as you can see for now, but yeah, didn't like it. Then a guy that rents some space from me in here with his red Volvo 940 here was going to scrap this car, so I took a Volvo 940 steering column and yeah, shaft for that one, and I think maybe that one will work better. So I'm doing some brackets for that now and see if it will work. Otherwise, the alternator, the Jaguar one that I have here, I made some, yeah, this bracket plate I made, I now have drilled it out and made the holes on it. Just manual drilling and one countersunk bolt there. So now it's bolted down there and aligns very good to the crank pulley there. If you remember, I could not close the hood completely. It was because of the intake manifold and because of the throttle bodies. I have a spare intake manifold here from a Lamborghini, one of my broken engines. And if I check the intake here, because I'm gonna modify one of the intakes, it's about 67 millimeters. This one is the newer, same as I have in my Gallardo over there. Yeah, you can clearly see this one is bigger, about 76.5 millimeters inside diameter, so it's a little bit more air. So yeah, the Superleggero has more power and has more air. Even if I think it's a little bit sad to cut this intake manifold, I will do it because it will give more power. I was also thinking about to put even bigger throttle bodies, like the 82 millimeters that is in the 5.2, like the Huracans or the R8s, but these flanges now, they will interfere with the hood. If I cut here and make a 90 degree and put the flanges on the sides, maybe it will clear. Stock intake manifold, cut them off and put an elbow 90 degree here. So now I'm welding these ones back to a little bit of angle down here, so there will be more room cleared off up here. Did some paint stripper here to remove the paint of these flanges and intake as well. And I think I will yeah, remove all of the paint and repaint this one in the wrinkle finish later on. Originally it is this black wrinkle finish, and yeah, we have the BHT wrinkle finish that makes very good finish, almost exactly as the original Lamborghini one. So fun to do some TIG welding with my TIG welder. I'm not used for a year about, and yeah, it's not the best kind of welds, but it will be leak free. And oh, very hot still. On the inside here, matches pretty good, but I will do some matching. Lamborghini, I did some smoothing here on the inside here. I will do some more smoothing and port matching of the welds there, but it was actually some sharp edges here on the inside of the stock intake manifold. So yeah, try to make it as efficient as possible. And here you can see it's open between the sides on the plenum, and in the middle here it's the air intake sensor and the map sensor. I did borrow my friend Peter's lathe here, the old one, to make the shaft here for the steering. So I make the shaft shorter and will press one piece, this one, into this tube here. And when we are here at Peter, let's look at his beach boogie that I did a video of last summer. Now it's a project. It's a lot of dust in here. It's because it's some modification of the body, some composite work here. It's wider fenders in the back, wider in the front as well, some new rims. These ones is some inlets. It's actually Formula 1 inlets. I think it's Arrows A19. They're from the original molds. I think the new rims here, it's a Boyd rims going on. Maybe some other tires is going on. So yeah, it will have a little new look, this car, in the future. It will not be this sharp edge, it will be rounded off. And the engine, the natural aspirated engine, I think it will be an turbo compressor engine in this one in the future. So just a little update of that one. Here's pieces of the stock exhaust manifold, and it was too wide, so it was not possible to fit in the car. I will try to see now if I cut it off from the flange and make an almost 90-degree bend there. A little bit less than 90 degree. Weld it on there and see if it will fit. This one, I think cylinder 6, I have to run another route. It's too wide here. So I had it on and off a couple of times to do the fitment. Let's see if it fits. Down there. It's also a little bit tight because the dry sump pump is there as well, and I will have the starter and good. Just about clears down here, and from the top it's looking good. Back here now I did cut off. Even if it's tricky on this side, I think this side will be much more difficult because of the steering there as well. So this side will be full custom header there instead of using some of the stock one. The reason I use some of the stock one here is that it is pretty good, I think, and I will save some time. For the engine, I'm planning to use this stock Mahle pistons, not this particular one because this one is beaten up, but I think they're looking good, so I will use these ones. I was also planning to use the stock connecting rods. For the power, usually these holds, but I don't know, sometimes for the RPM, and these ones are not thick at all. And there is several of these engines that have broken connecting rods even on stock engines. This engine I have here, for example, do not look nice. Correcting rod failure here. The guy I bought this one from told me that the connecting rod it failed on idle. I'm not sure about that, but yeah, a lot of damage for idle connecting rod breakage. So I'm a little bit nervous if I also maybe want to rev this engine a little bit higher than stock, because I have the much better Autoverdi dry sump pump there now. I think I will send this one out to Autoverdi, and they make H-beam connecting rods, and see if they can do a rod that is not that heavy. I have in this car, in my Gallardo, I have the connecting rods from Autoverdi as well, but they are much stronger than the stock ones. Do not need that for this Volvo. Also, and I want to save some weight, so I do not have to balance with heavy weights. What do you say? I had to put like heavy weights inside the crankshaft on this Gallardo here. So it will be a little bit more expensive, this project, but I think it will be better. I can trust on it more, and also I can rev it a little bit more. And it would be nice to trust it, because I plan to use this car for some road trips. I actually sent an application for this car for a rally next year that goes through several countries, but I was not allowed to participate with this car. With another car I was able to participate, but it was also full, so I'm on the waiting list for that one. But for the year after, 2023, I will go on that rally. Unfortunately not in this Volvo, but I hope I can do some similar rally or go to some different countries with it. It would be fun to drive it. One of the reasons I sent this application to be in that rally is so I will get a little bit more push to prioritize this car and build it maybe a little bit faster. That will not happen, but I hope I can drive this. My plan is next year, 2022, because now I'm soon leaving back to Abu Dhabi again, but I will be much longer in Sweden next year as I'm moving back to Sweden. So the plan is next year to have this one running. I'm checking the wiring here that I made in UAE, or made, it's the stock one that I just modified a bit. And yeah, looking here if everything fits.
as it should, and I think so. I still have some connectors to replace, and I will do some wiring here to the throttle bodies now with a new location. Actually, the throttle bodies is in a separate harness, not in this one, in the Gallardo. So now I know all the lengths I can do wiring for that one. And also I have this rubber boots that goes through the firewall, so I will have the firewall here, and this one will go into the ECU, the Motec ECU. So they're pretty ready. A, B and C is to the engine, and D will go into the car. And here also is some that says PDM, and for this car I will put one of these nice boxes in here. It's the hardwire PDM 25 plus. It has separate connectors, 4 of them, so that's good. So some of these wires will run inside the car and some of them will run into the engine harness. So then I can separate that one a little bit easier than just one connector. So that's good. So this one is a smart thing. You only have one positive in, and you have all the outputs out. This one replaces the relays and the circuit breakers for the system. Comes with this nice box, and yeah, some stickers and instructions here as well. It has a very nice software, so you can see all the currents and everything. If you're monitoring, for example, the fuel pump from time to time, you can see if the current goes up. 4 different connectors there, and some nice instructions. Pretty easy to install these ones. Just some outputs and inputs if you want. I'm not sure if I will use just a normal switch panel. It's possible to use normal switches as inputs to this one for some things, or if I will use a CAN bus panel, it's possible as well. And it has the CAN bus protocol for many of the normal ECUs used. So it has it for the Motec M1 that I will use on this car. It will be very interesting. And yeah, BJP Race, we sell these ones as well. The Swedish dealer for that one. And you can buy them from dealers all over the world. And these ones are available in the 15 outputs and in the 10 outputs as well. A little smaller box, the 10 one. Also, I think I will use some outputs of this one to control maybe some front lights, because it was some relays here on the side, and these ones I will remove and control by the PDM. It is also possible to use several PDMs, one in the front of the car and one in the back, and just have the CAN bus wiring. And yeah, the positive, of course, going to it. So you can have a rear light, you can have turn signals, yeah, fuel pumps, everything in the back controlled by one PDM, and everything in the front controlled by another PDM. Also in front here, I was looking for a place to put a dry sump, and my friend told me he had a tank here that could be used for dry sump. And I checked on this one, but I think it will be a little bit too small. It says 5 liters here, I think. 5.7 liters, and this one is coming from Saab, so it is an airplane tank. It got a very nice tube here for checking the level, but it is an hydraulic tank with some connectors down here, so I think it's a little bit too small. Not sure exactly which aircraft this one is coming from. I think maybe the SK-60, the jet aircraft Saab that is for what do you say, school flying. Could have been nice to have some more aircraft parts on the car, but not this one. I think I will look for a normal dry sump tank, I think. Maybe put it on the side here and make a hole for it over there. Maybe on this side, because the dry sump pump is going to that side. Also, I'm sorry if the picture is out of focus from time to time, because I actually, when I did cut this one and I did some video of it, my camera fell to the floor and the lens broke. So yeah, I had to buy a new lens, and I bought another one, a new one. I'm not used to it. It's not a zoom lens, and the lens that broke costed like $1,400. So yeah, this Plenum is very expensive, not because it's the Lamborghini one, also because I broke one of my camera lenses. So yeah, that's a bummer, but yeah, I hope it will be good in the future. Also, now in 30 minutes I will go to the airport and go back to UAE. I'm sorry I didn't manage to do more with the car. Here's a small update. But I promise that next year I will be here much more when I move back to Sweden. I will try my best to make this car running next year, 2022. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.